Okay.
All right.
All right. So did you shoot the screen?
I did.
And how's it look?
So on the, actually, there's no difference that I see on any of them. So this goes from 4 minutes to 7 minutes.
Okay.
Really, it's the 4-point and the 3-point by far the most bold.
Of course.
On the 6 minute, the 2-point showed up better.
Okay.
That is on both 6 and 7. But it looks honestly on 7 like it started closing up again. So 6 might be the sweet spot on that.
Okay, so 6 might be it. So 5, how does 5 look?
5 is actually 5's good all the way to 2. So 5 and
But,
6 minutes.
Is
by far the
5
best.
holding? Is 5 able to hold any of the 1-point line, or none of them are?
None of them are holding the 1-point
Okay.
line.
Did you use a power washer to wash that out?
I did, and then I also used the. I went back over and used the fine mist to try to open it, see if there's any little stuff in there.
Okay.
And it didn't make any changes after I got in there.
No, that's not a problem. Let me get Sean on here.
Sean's down in Georgia, right?
Huh?
Sean's the one down in Georgia, right?
Yes.
Yep. There's no 1-point coming out in that at all.
And I'm not surprised about that. I really wasn't anticipating that, but I thought that it would be worth having it as part of the test.
Okay.
The fact that it doesn't hold, now you know the least detail that you, or the best detail you can hold is going to be about a 2-point line.
So, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to what we're going to be able to do with the my education on high density. Yes, happy Hanukkah, Charlie.
Let's see. Let's see. No, we got more. So with the screen that you have, what we're going to do is test out some of the high density ink so you get a chance to get a feel for how it responds.
Okay.
So save that screen and I'll get in some 80 mesh.
Okay.
So that we can play with that and get a feel. Hey, Sean, are you just listening in, or are you going to be joining? I guess he's not even listening.
You need. He said you need to unmute him. Yeah. You haven't muted.
Christian, you work with Allie? Getting no response. We've got people on, but nobody's doing anything other than being on. All right.
So, Charlie, what it does show, though, it shows on here that Sean's saying that you're muted. You've muted everybody.
You do unmute me. Oh, okay. What the heck do I have to do to unmute him?
Don't ask me.
Yeah, well. It's the video chat. If I knew how to unmute, I would unmute you.
Are you catching any of the background noise in my shop, Charlie?
Sure, nobody wants to hear you, I guess. I'm not sure.
So no, it shows nobody's get that. Sean doesn't have video. Neither does Kristen.
I know.
It's not a simple click, is it?
Ask to unmute. Okay, unmute. That sounds like a good idea. Go out and come back. I have no idea why. Okay, we'll try this again.
Sean is back. Shows he has no video. Oh, he's muted again.
Woohoo!
Ah, I can hear a voice.
Well, you might regret that.
I
Morning,
always
John.
regret it, but that's besides the point. I don't know what happened to Kristen. She seems to have drifted, and there you go. I don't know how to unmute you.
I don't
I
know.
know how to mute you. I mean, we
You
could,
could click on it, and I clicked on it, and then it said you can't do that.
you know, I mean, that's what happens. You know, there's stuff a sock in your mouth or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I don't know what happened to Kristen. I'm hoping she comes back on. But so I was working with Jim, and we were doing some high density film testing. You haven't done any high density work at all, have you?
Yeah.
Sean?
Early on, I did some. I did a Spider-Man logo where I did I did it on the manual.
Okay. You use capillary film to do the
I
stencil?
did.
How long was your exposure? Because we did some testing, and it seems like about 5 minutes seems to be right for 300 microns.
Oh, can you get that, Laura? Hang on a second.
no.
I
I'm just curious.
It was right after we had bought the equipment. So that was like 6 years ago. That, that doesn't sound too far off. Are you going, how many microns?
We did 300, and it took about 5 to 6 minutes
On what kind of exposure unit?
on a Vastex LED.
Okay.
So pretty much the same as what you have,
Yeah.
different size, but similar bulbs. So it sounds like about 2 minutes per 100 microns.
That was the easy way to figure it out. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I need to do some more testing to try out the 200 and 400, but it sounds like about, because with a metal halide lamp, it used to be 90 seconds per 100 microns. And the difference is metal halide definitely has a lot more juice to it, different wavelength. So the fact that this takes 2 minutes, not too big a deal.
What's he printing?
Nothing
Fine.
yet. We were just testing out to try and get exposure right.
Hmm.
So once we have that, we'll put together something just so that he can kind of take it to some of his clients, show them what's feasible. So Jim's shop is definitely smaller than yours. but he does a lot of the same things. So he's doing screen print, embroidery, and a lot of signage. And if he ever moves, he'll also be able to have his laser and working and whatever else. But
Yeah, I've got a CNC in that. Yes.
Where are you located?
Here in Littleton, Colorado, just about 10 miles due west from Charlie.
Well, that's convenient.
Absolutely.
yeah, well, it gives me a chance to play there.
No kidding. What kind of press are you running?
Just 6-color 4-station manual, Hopkins BWM.
Oh, so I know the guy who set you up.
Yeah, that's we do. From day
So do
one.
I got the same thing.
Awesome.
Oh my God. Oh, there you have it. Eric got in touch with me, I think in March, if my knee is working out. He wants me to spend about a week in Georgia, taking some of his people around to print shops. So I was going to come and be able to visit you.
Oh yeah.
I'm only coming for the bagels. I just want you to know that.
Well, you know, I don't think I thought there was any other reason.
Well, there isn't. So that's that. Now, this way I can compare my knee to your hip.
I tell you, that hip is tremendous. I mean, it recovered a whole lot faster than I would have thought.
I just made arrangements to meet with the physical therapy people prior to having the surgery done. So I meet with them about a week before the surgery, just so I can get a rundown on what they expect.
Ask them for activities you can do now to help strengthen up your core muscles that you need, because that'll help speed up your recovery dramatically.
Yeah, well, I've been doing some of that. I've been hitting I have a recumbent bike, and I've been hitting that. So that's definitely helping. I've got some other basic, simple exercises, but definitely trying to get my knees or my legs back to when I used to run marathons. I actually did have strength in my legs at one time before they became spindly looking.
Set expectations.
Yeah.
Even though I got a new hip, I ain't going out trying to get any better than I was 2 years ago.
Listen, I'm not expecting to run any marathons. My last one was in 1985. I can't even remember what it was like other than it was painful. So not going in that direction. I have no intentions of becoming a bicyclist or anything else. I just want to be able to go up and down the stairs without too much pain.
Yeah.
So Sean, do you run an automatic as well?
You do. We got a 10-12 Sabre.
That Sabre is the workhorse?
Workhorse.
Yeah. Okay.
And I talked to Peter Walsh today, so we're gonna get either a Red Chili D or DX flash unit, because workhorse. I got to remember we're recorded.
Yes. We can always bleep it. Don't worry.
To be edited.
I would rather buy a better unit, and because you can get the temperature sensor, and you can get the pallet sensor with that without having to be able to plug it in. So you can run it with a workhorse rather than an M&R. But if Peter came back and said, hey, you know, we'll take yours on trade for a M&R or something like that, then I'd have to seriously talk with him.
So what are you running right now? You're running a workhorse flash?
Yeah, flashback.
Okay.
It works in certain situations, but anytime you got to flash more than once, we're bringing in our Vaztex swing away, and then first thing you got to do is, if you pause the pallets, either set them off, you know, halfway so they don't burn something, or run over there and move the flash out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that should, with that temperature gauge on there, we should be able to dial it into a temp. So as the boards warm up, it's going to lessen the flash time automatically. So we'll get a good gel, and, you know, hopefully it'll make everything work a little bit easier.
Yeah. What I found in working with a workhorse and a flashback, is getting my timing right in terms of the flashback so that I could use a roller squeegee afterwards without burning up anything or without it kicking forward before the whole flash is done.
Or, because I mean, every time it does that, you gotta go wipe off the ink from the bottom of the damn thing.
Yeah, which
So you're
sets you back again.
Oh, yeah. So there's a couple reasons that the flashback is good if all you're doing is one color and it's
Yeah.
white. Or we've even done print flash print with yellow, and it looked fairly good, like a super opaque or something. But yeah, that trying to get that smooth print with the roller and that flashback is very difficult.
It is, and it's far more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. But Jim is looking at potentially going with an automatic somewhere down the road. So
Sooner
of
than
course,
later.
curiosity.
Yeah,
always comes.
if you're doing business and you got the room for it, get one as soon as you can, and then get it bigger than you think you might need.
Okay. Kind of Charlie.
So that
was
was-
talking to me. Don't go small.
Yeah, he told me to do that, and I mean, we probably on average maybe do 15, 20 screens a week. So we're not doing a ton of business. We're doing more pieces. We're not doing a lot of small jobs, but we're doing more pieces on orders, and it helps to have that extra space for cooling, or for adding the roller, or adding another flash. But yeah,
Okay.
we've not been upset that we bought a 1012.
All right. No, that's awesome. See, it's input. I don't know. This is, I've been working with Charlie, and I don't know if you know John McGee. I've been going back and forth trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to be dialing in. It's coming. It's when it's coming. Like I said, Charlie and I were talking. I have to get another space, try to get my sign side of the business out of here, so I can focus on my screen print and embroidery here. Unless I can get an all-encompassing space, which is going to be significantly larger. But with where Colorado's pricing is at right now, it's a little out of my range. So
Same thing here.
but yeah, it's one of those things, and we're doing probably in your same range, probably about 20 to 25 screens a week. On average, I'm going through about 65. So it just depends on the week. I deal with a lot of the smaller jobs though right now, doing the 40 count to 80 count jobs. There's not a whole lot of big monster jobs yet, but it's not that I don't want them. It's just where my market, I've placed myself in the market right now, centristic right now towards schools, and starting to break away from some of that if I can, just because it's fickle. You're dealing with all sorts. I don't want to badmouth anybody. So it's just one of those things where I'm really trying to get out there with more of my contractor business, dealing with the startup contractors, trying to get the mid pieces, trying to get them with that 24 piece to get them started and build that out. So
Are you saying that parent ran organizations and volunteers aren't easy to work with?
no, I'm not saying that at all. No specifics.
Oh, yeah. We found that we get a lot larger order from the clubs, not the sports teams, not the booster clubs, but like if you've got DECA there, the DECA clubs usually have hundreds of kids. The beta clubs have hundreds of kids. Those are, and they're typically ran by an administrator or the teacher in the school. So you've got a key person you stay in contact with longer than you do every 3-year transition as a kid ages out.
Yeah, so that's where I'm trying to get into. So I've got some clubs that are starting to come through me because I'm working with some larger competitors that are here. I don't know if they can even consider me a competitor, but they're significantly larger and they dominate the Denver metro area. And so it's just been whittling away, trying to get that business, but I'm kind of at that stuck spot with my manual. I can't really push that next level where I can say, yeah, let's step up. We got this. Where I think an automatic can help me in that.
What makes those bigger ones dominant?
They're contract locked. So they lock up a lot of these schools and that for 3 years. They lock up the clubs for 5. And yet they do straight contract work is how they peel everybody away and, put the fear of God in them if they go somewhere else. So
It's not BSN, right?
BSN is one of them now because they bought out the Northern company, which was Sportline. And now that's be at BSN, the Nike logo.
They'll kick themselves out of wherever they're at after everybody's fed up with their delayed production and broken promises.
Which has been where my business has come from.
Yeah.
The 6 weeks out and the season's 3 weeks in.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't, it's no good for them a week after they stop playing.
Correct.
Sean.
Yeah.
One of the things that Jim has is a Epson 3720. I don't know if you're still looking at printers or not.
No, we actually pulled the trigger on that a couple weeks ago. We got the Canon
62.8.
IX 6820.
Yeah. How's it working out for you?
Good. I was surprised. We bought a continuous ink system for it.
Yeah.
And when we printed solid black, you could actually see the ceiling lights through the black, but it exposed extremely clean.
Yeah.
So it wasn't allowing the UV through, and I was a little worried about that.
Okay.
But it prints a little bit slower than the Artisan did, but it's clean. I mean, I'm not having these straggling dots or the big drips because droplets were wrong, and we had to go to Emerald for the Accurip. So
Yep.
I'm still in the trial period for that, and it seems to be nice. You got to keep the program open so that when you're printing, it'll actually start printing. But you don't have to choose all that anymore. All you do is you choose your dot shape, your LPI, and your angle.
Yep.
You don't have to choose a droplet weight or anything like that more.
Yeah, they don't even offer a droplet situation anymore.
Right. But yeah, I was happy, and that only cost me $350.
Which really can't complain very much.
When you're running this few screens a week as we are, that's you don't want to spend 30 grand on a computer to screen if you can get it at that anymore.
You're not doing anywhere near enough screens to even contemplate that.
Oh, no, I know.
Until you get into 3 digits on the number of screens you're doing a week, probably doesn't make any sense.
Well, and that I don't think we'll ever put ourselves in that position because we don't have the staff to handle it.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
But we'll take a job and send it out to, Integrities in Texas and have them printed on a digital squeegee all day long.
Yeah,
Still
well,
money.
There are more and more companies with digital squeegees now, and certainly contracting it off. Especially if you can sit in the middle and do okay with it, why not?
Yeah.
Who are you working with on digital squeegee?
Sean Kirkpatrick.
Oh, down in
And-
Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I met him at a Shirt Lab event in
Yeah.
Atlanta and got talking to him, and we've been using them probably for the last couple of years on bigger orders that have a lot of color in it.
Right. No, he's supposed to be really, really good at what he does.
And what company is that?
Well, they were Integrities with TEES, but he just changed his name to something else.
Okay.
Let me find out what it was. Printhybrid.com.
Printhybrid.com.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
And he may be switching, he still may be Integrities, but that print hybrid might be a contract arm of it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very possible. This way he can separate the two situations.
Yeah.
So do you do any direct to film or anything like that? Or are you just doing screen
Oh,
print?
yeah. We order from Supercolor and Stalls, depending on what the need is. But we've been doing quite a bit of that because I'm not going to set my press up for 24 freaking shirts anymore.
No, and
I
that's
mean,
where I'm at.
just all that time involved just to get it to the point where you can print. It's so much easier just to add more color, give better perceived value on it, and do a heat press.
Yes, absolutely. You're running probably Hotronics Fusions, or you're running
I got a Hotronics Fusion and a Cap IQ 360 IQ.
okay. Do you have any problems with your Cap 360? Because one of the guys here that I was talking with when I was looking at buying one was having issues with, two of them had bad motherboards on them that fried out and scorched a bunch of product.
That I don't know if they had a problem earlier on. I didn't buy mine right away. I probably bought it after it's been out. It was out for a while. After they expanded their production facility is when I got mine.
Okay.
So my guess is he probably got his prior to that, and maybe they didn't have as much control on it. Or he could have got it afterwards when there wasn't correct parts and they were putting crappy stuff in. I don't know.
Okay.
That's just
No, it was
hearsay.
just
I have
curious.
no idea.
No, it's like I said, it's all just questions I have, still building my business, and I hope
No,
the
I
business is
like
building
it.
every day.
I don't think it presses as tall as it should, because you're not going to get much taller on anything more than 2.5 inches on that
Okay. Now, do you
without
offer-
having to position and repress.
Do you do embroidery in house? Do you hats and stuff like that as well? Do you
Yep.
still have the same thing where you're doing like 2.25 tall on embroidery, and then
We'll
expanding out, or-
we'll even order patches in, and we got a post bed sewing machine. We can sew them on by hand.
Okay.
So that, we'll tack it down with the press and then go in there and just put a stitch in. That way it doesn't come off.
Perfect.
I haven't been able to trust just the adhesive, just because our name's on it, after we
Correct.
produce it. So,
And that's exactly where I'm at. I was told try that E6000 or whatever. Try that, set it. It's good until you get a good summer in it. And then I had people saying the patches are peeling. And I was like, it's not supposed to. So I was like, we'll go back to the stitch.
yeah. And I mean, you do it, you find your sticky points
Mhm.
and you avoid those. So, we've learned, you know what, you can go to a larger patch, but why? If you can get it lower, make it smaller.
Yes.
We don't offer something that may sew weird if we have to embroider it over the seam of a cap. So we'll always put it on a left panel of the cap rather than over a seam. And we don't even give them the option. They don't even care,
Okay.
for the clients. It's sort of cool.
And that's where it's where I've been battling. I deal with Richardson hats and when I do the embroidery, that beautiful plastic seam they got in there, you're blowing
Yeah.
needles out. And I try to explain to everybody, if you do it off to the side, you're actually going to pay less. Because if I have to do it over the middle, I have to charge you at least 3 needles, which is time. It's going to cost you more. Go to a panel.
Yeah.
So yes. No, so what all are you doing? Are you just doing plastisol? Are you doing water based? Are you doing a combination?
We're probably 75% water based and discharge.
Okay. I wish we had the humidity for it.
Well, I mean, we have it, but we have to supplement it too,
Okay.
because the dryer sucks it right out. Because we got a MD8 gas dryer
Okay.
interchange, and once that thing kicks up, it starts just pulling the humidity out. So we use a swamp cooler to add moisture back in. We haven't used any of the foggers or anything like that, just because we haven't had to.
Okay.
But
Yeah, well, you have a decent amount of humidity where you are versus Colorado where we don't have any.
I think we were at
yeah,
12 this morning in my shop. 12%. I was like,
wow.
it's horrible. Charlie,
So you got to make
we
sure
were doing
you
a
shock
class.
yourself before you touch anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Pretty much.
Gabby on the embroidery machines every morning. She has to ground herself because zap.
Yeah, wow.
No.
Hmm.
But no, so yeah, we did I had some students coming in and new employees come in, and I had pay Charlie in for a couple days to do a screen printing 101, and we did a 4-color process using the water-based inks. It was the high solid acrylics. We were able to get one print done, and when we went back to it again, the screens had solidified. It was bad. It was a great first shirt.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, we've been lucky enough, I guess, that we've been preemptive enough to make sure we don't print unless we're over 50% humidity.
Okay.
So we've got a couple gauges inside the warehouse to make sure that we're keeping it where it needs to be. And I mean, we notice when it starts to get down to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, things are getting a little iffy at that point. But if we get 60 or higher, we find that the emulsion starts to break down more.
Okay.
Well, which emulsion are you using?
Sadi PHUHR.
Okay, you know, one to try is one I have Jim on, which is the Chromoline Hydro X.
Is that a Diazo?
It's a pure polymer, but it was geared for water base and for an LED system.
Yeah, we were we switched to that. We went from Cryocoat, which was a Ryonet brand, the green stuff, and because I think this is the closest match to that. And we've had great success with it. I mean, we can do some good sized runs with it as long as we don't over humidify it. Because for some reason that I think it keeps the emulsion a little soft as you
Okay.
continue to run it.
Well, the thing with the Hydro X is after you expose your screen and dry it, you're supposed to post-expose for 3 to 4 times the amount of exposure that you use to actually expose the screen. So if it was a 10-second exposure, then you should be doing a 40-second post-exposure.
You can post expose the PHU as well.
Yeah.
And that's good. I mean, we started with Diazo, I think it was a Chromoline that you'd put us on, but something happened a couple years later where their formulation changed and they did not say it did, but it did.
Well,
the
during the
stuff didn't
pandemic,
hold.
yeah, during the pandemic, getting a lot of the emulsions went in the wrong direction. Because I remember dealing with Chromoline, friendly with Art Doby, and I said, "Hey, can you get me some Hydro X?" He said, "You know, we don't know what we can do until the raw materials actually show up. We have no idea which emulsion we're going to be able to make."
And who's that? Chromoline?
Yeah.
That Hydro
Although
X has been amazing.
So
for me.
Sadi now owns Chromoline.
What color is it?
Blue.
Okay. Does it get really dark when it's in the screen and dried?
Yes, actually it does.
Yeah, it's a bit on the darker side, not terribly though. Easy enough to see through it to see what you're doing.
Yeah, because I mean, with your registration system that you set us up on,
Yeah.
we cut off our top registration and bottom registration when we do water-based or discharge inks so that we don't have any other failed points. And we just use a pen line to register it. So if it's too dark, it's hard to actually see through that to the registration board.
Huh, okay.
But
And I'm using
I
a
may try
backlit.
that.
I use a backlit table when I go through and do my screen registration. Just real quick, I think it's running up 3,500 Kelvin. It's just pushing up just enough where I can see through my emulsion, and it works like a champ for me. Like I said, I do hold 320 or 230 at 3 seconds and all day long. It's just been amazing.
Nice.
Coming from, I came off the PHU to go to this because it shortened the time. It's one of the things we're gonna have faster production rate on it. So with
Yeah.
all the other pieces and lack of labor in my shop, it helps.
So are you, you hand coating the emulsion, or are you using a screen coater?
Hand coating it. I've got the Vastex screen coater, the wall rack, or I can put it on there.
Just the holder, or is it the semi-auto that actually will move the screen up and down?
Just a
No,
holder.
it's the manual holder.
Okay. We were thinking of doing that semi-auto.
It works great, by the way.
And that's where I'm going next.
You know, you're looking at 1/10 the price of an automatic coder.
Yeah.
And does it do a good job? It does, because you get consistency in terms of speed. You know, obviously there's still a variable in there based on the amount of pressure you're putting on it, but it definitely improves the overall accuracy. And I think I've put them into a number of shops now, and they're loving it.
Good.
You know, even I put it into one of the shops where they have an automatic, where they have a direct-to-screen system. Didn't want to spend the money on an automatic coder, and this one seems to be doing just fine for that. So worth looking at anyway.
Have you seen people moving away from coating and just going with capillary film?
No, much as I think that they're making a mistake by not. Of course, if you're doing water-based, you can't go with capillary film anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that enough companies understand the cost situation of capillary film versus wet emulsion. And there are some capillary films that are so inexpensive that it doesn't pay to go with a wet emulsion. But they're looking at it saying, a sheet of this cost me X amount and I can coat a screen for this amount. What they forget is the labor that's involved, the difference, the amount of emulsion that's going down the drain from the scoop coater, the amount of spillage of emulsion or the crustiness around the container. You know, you've got Ulano that has its cap 30, cap 50, and you also have Chromoline with a cap 40 that are all coming in at $1 something a sheet, which is, I think, pretty damn inexpensive. At the same time, you can't do water-based with them.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're doing plastisol, honestly, I still believe that capillary film is the right way to do it, especially if you're a new shop or you're just cranking it out and you've got a screen room that has too much turnover and trying to get some kind of consistency out of it. Capillary film definitely does that. So, you know, but everybody looks at a bucket of emulsion at X dollars, and they look at the number, they look at a sheet of capillary film and they try to evaluate it, and it's wrong. You know, there's more to it than just the product itself. There's the time involved.
Have they made any headway yet on working with capillary and water-based?
They can't, you know, the problem is that you apply the capillary film with water.
Okay.
And so the water is going to break it down at that point. So, you know, if you were doing a run of 10 pieces, not a problem. But, you know, as soon as you start getting to a decent number, you're going to find that the whole thing just falls apart on you. You know, years ago, we did things that were quite different than today, and no one is really doing it today. But we did a lot of text dyes, which is an oil and water system, where, of course, the emulsion would break down if you're doing long runs. And we were doing monster runs. We were doing 10, 15, 20,000 piece runs or more, having to use text dyes. And so what we would do is what they call a negative reverse screen, where it's, in essence, it's a screen made of epoxy. So instead of starting out with a film positive, what you would do is do a single coat to the outside of your screen, let it dry. And then instead of using a film positive, you use a negative to shoot the screen, wash it out. And then you use stuff called TK23, which is made by, what's that name that owns Ulano?
Tecmar?
No, Tecmar is chemicals down in Seabrook, Texas. Kiwo. Okay, so Kiwo owns stuff called TK23. It's TK23 and a hardener. You mix the two together. You actually use a kind of like a push bar instead of a scoop coater, where you pour out some of that emulsion. You go over the top of the whole thing with a single pass, nice and slow, and you let that sit overnight to harden, and then you reclaim the screen. So what you reclaim blows off the TK23. What you're left with is a stencil that's made of epoxy. And it was good for 500,000 prints.
Okay.
The mesh would break down before the stencil would. So if you started to clog, you could take a dry cleaning gun and blast out the open areas and not worry about your screen going south on you. Most people will not do that today. Even when you tell them about it, and it's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather shoot 3 sets of screens to do my 10,000 piece order. Okay. And obviously you can't reclaim those screens, but you know, I just wrote up a whole little thing about downtime and the cost of putting the key in the door in the morning, and what does it cost you to be there today? And I don't believe that most shops have a clue. I mean, I can guarantee you, I didn't have a clue. And my ex-partner was an accountant. Of course, he hated accounting. That's why we got into screen printing. But, you know, I don't think that most people know what a minute of that press time is worth. And so they make bad decisions about jobs. A minute of your press time is not how many shirts you can produce in a minute and what you charge per print. It's the overall package. It's the insurance and the labor and the utilities and all the rest that comes along with it broken down. And so, of course, the more you can produce in a day, the less your cost is per minute. But you need to have a basic idea of what that is. Most people don't.
So on the capillary film, going from with the 30 and the 50, like from the Ulano, what are the times? What's it going to hold? Is that mesh is going to go hold that 230 or a 320 screen? What's going to be the cost? Because what I've experienced on that, and it may be just my inexperience of it, is the time frame on exposure where I'm seconds with this emulsion, like what we're using now, the Hydro X, where we had to get it in and do the registration, where we were pushing over a minute on exposure on the capillary film that we had previous.
And it may be, but you know, when you think about it, really 1 minute on exposure time is really no big deal, especially when you're talking about doing 20 to 30 screens a week. Yeah, and yes, 3 seconds is certainly a whole lot less time, understandable. But at the end of the day, you're not talking about a dramatic difference. You're talking
Quality
about
of image, though, is it going to be? Are you going to have an image where you're going to have less quality? You're going to lose some of your gain on going to capillary, where it's going to bleed out, where you don't keep the high detail, or is it?
no, you're not going to lose any detail. If you're using a cap 30, will you lose any detail? No.
Okay.
No question about it. You will not lose detail.
I would like to have a class. What we'll do is we will shoot it We'll have the video when I get my interns here in February. I
Okay.
think we should do a comparison, get everything dialed in for capillary and where we're at on emulsion, because I think it'll be good for these kids to understand
You know,
coming in if they break
think
off
the-
and make it out of school.
well, I think the thing that both of you need to keep in mind, if you were to go to capillary film for anything, you're not doing anything finer than 45 line halftone, but even if you wanted to push it to 55 or 65, would it hold? Yes, it would. Will it hold a 3% dot? I'm not sure. Obviously going to a finer mesh at that point is part of it. The question that you always have to ask yourself is, do I really care if I can hold a 3 or 5% dot or not? And is my client really that concerned about that type of situation? If you were doing fine art prints and you needed to hold that kind of detail, it's a different situation. But, for what we do on t-shirts, for the most part, unless you're looking to win or enter contests, if you're holding an 8-10% dot and going up, who cares? From the practical side, not talking about the winning award side.
Okay.
The problem
We
with
could have
getting
somebody
old,
here.
problem with getting older is I forget to remember certain things. And I know there was something I was going to bring up, but I'll be damned if I can remember it. Other than the fact that I've hit the age where I can now keep my shoes on when I go through the airport. Woo.
I don't know what's going to happen to me when I go through.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I need to find out also is, do they give you anything to hand them at the airport based
No.
on,
They didn't for the hip.
on your hip? Is there any metal involved or is it all plastic?
Oh yeah, it's titanium,
Titanium.
man.
Yeah, they do have metals and stuff.
Yeah, so they said just tell them you got a prosthesis and they'll probably just run you right through the main one.
Yeah,
They made
they'll
my
just scan
father-in-law
you.
get a card. They gave my father-in-law a card because he's
Yeah.
got 2 new knees, 1 new hip, and one of his shoulders he had to have replaced. So he's like the bionic man now. So he's got a card that says I've got these prostheses, all these pieces in him now. And so your doctor should provide that with you, and you should be able to get a card if need be.
Yeah, I think they give you a card that you can show.
Well, I don't travel like you, so it's probably
Well,
not as
lately I
important
don't
for me.
travel much either, so that's not a problem. That is my problem. I'd love to be traveling again, but we'll see what happens after all of this.
I'm kidding.
All right.
So we lost somebody. I saw you had somebody in here, Charlie. A gentleman named Robert popped in here for about 10 minutes and
Yeah, I don't know who that was,
okay.
but we've had 2 people pop in and pop out, never said a word, but nevertheless. Jim, there's going to be a delivery from DHL. I think it's coming to you from the ink company out of Istanbul.
Okay, and I have your penguin film here. So we still have that here at the shop.
Yeah, I'll pick that up from you. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get there today. I think I'm going to hit Rocky Mountain Apparel and see if I can't get my crate in order. But
Okay.
who knows? Anyway, I don't know if you guys want to hang out any longer, but I think my lunch is calling me.
Uh-oh.
Not
No,
sure.
it's good. I always appreciate this. Appreciate you letting me come in here, Charlie, and chat. We didn't get to do a whole lot on.
Well, thanks for coming on, and
But we covered a lot.
certainly, if I don't get to your place today, I'll probably be there tomorrow. All I know is Thursday, I am not leaving the house, man. They're talking about a high of -3 and a low of -18, and I am not touching that.
Go out and buy firewood now.
Fortunately, I have one where you push the button and the flames go on my fireplace, which I'm quite happy about. Thank you very much. My wife has decided to make a stew, and I said, "Oh, we'll wait till Thursday. This way, it's an 8-hour cook, and so it'll warm up the kitchen if nothing else."
Kidding.
Anyway,
Be
how's
safe.
Laura doing?
She's doing great.
When you got your hip done, did you still sleep upstairs or did you stay downstairs?
No, I actually walked up and down the stairs 2 or 3 times the day of surgery.
Okay. Yeah, I've got, so that's my wife's concern. My bedrooms are upstairs. And with the knee, I'm not sure how easy it is to get up and down the stairs. So we're trying to figure out, do I stay on the sofa downstairs and what do I do about taking a shower? Did they, after your surgery, how long did they say before you could shower, or were you able to immediately?
I was able to shower like in a day or 2 after.
Yeah,
They had some weird bandage that was almost like a real thick silicone that was super sticky, and it covered my wound. I think I kept it on there for a full week.
okay.
And when I finally peeled it off, I mean, I hardly had any blood or anything, any scabbing at all. It's just a little swollen. And but it was just freaky. I mean, you could let the water go over it. It was fine. But yeah, I was able to go and do that. I didn't, put my foot up on the chair and scrub my feet or anything like that. But
Right. I understand that.
last thing you want to do is fall over and after that.
Yeah, right.
But I was just extremely happy with how fast the recovery went with that. I've heard, they even said in the class, because they had knee people on one side and hip people on the other, that she apologized to the knee people, saying it's not going to be this easy for you. So yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah, I got to figure out if I'm staying downstairs or if I'm going to muscle my way upstairs.
You may want to stay downstairs just with the knee.
Yeah, that's what I understand, at least for a little while. Just lots of drugs.
Well, yeah, and they gave you this belt to put around your waist so that your spouse could help guide you, support you as you go up and down stairs. Laura, if God forbid, if I fell over, that ain't gonna help her none at all.
Oh, my wife is all of 5 feet tall as well. So is she going to catch me? No, she's going to step out of the way.
Yeah, and go, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now, yeah, it's definitely one of those things that we are, that she's more concerned about than I am, but it's not to say that I have no concerns at all. I do. But, oh, well, all remains to be seen.
Exactly.
I guess. Well, I'm
It was a
glad to
pleasure
see that
talking to you.
and glad that you're doing well. Jim, thanks so much. I'll see you probably today, either today or tomorrow. I'll figure that out. John, if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know.
You got it.
And other than that, gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Enjoy
You
the
too, sir.
holidays.
You too.
You too.
Y'all take care. Good seeing you, Sean.
Bye-bye. You too.